Today I'm going to show you step by step how to set up an Amazon seller account, how to sell on Amazon, literally everything you need to know about creating an account and a complete Amazon tutorial. So to start, you're going to go to sellercentral.amazon.com and click register now. Then we'll click start selling. Next, you're going to click create your Amazon account and fill out all this information. After that, you're going to put in an email. For us, we're going to try to use the domain name. I think it looks a little bit more professional, but that's obviously up to you. And then create a password. For us, the legal name will be Vino Cards. You're going to fill out the address and the display name. So for us, we'll do Vino Cards, one word. You'll then put in the website and the phone number and click text me now. They just need to text and verify that everything's okay. So you'll get a one-time PIN and enter it here. Go ahead and enter that and click verify. Verification successfully complete. Let's go next. So here you're going to set up your billing method. So you're going to want to use a credit card, and your first monthly subscription fee is going to be $40. There's a lot of benefits to doing this, and to sell on Amazon, you probably need to do it. There are different plans, but if you want fulfillment by Amazon, you're going to need that professional selling plan. And I will, of course, block out this information. And then after this information, you're going to have to set up your deposit method. So you're going to want to put your business bank account. So once you've entered all that sensitive information, go ahead and click next. We're going to provide your tax information at this point. And this is pretty simple. As long as you have your EIN and everything, you should be fine. Or if you have a social security number, if you're doing it that way. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click continue. And then for this information, you're going to want to say yes, hopefully. If you don't have UPC codes, you should go get UPC codes. I'll walk you through that later in this video. Hopefully you own a brand as well, and you're not a representative. Do you own a brand? Yes. Business features is fine. And then how many different products do you plan to list? Let's just say 1 to 10 for now. You can always add more later. For me, the categories are probably going to be books. Even though it's not technically a book, we're just going to call it a book. So I've never seen this before, but they want to verify our identity. So I'm going to have to enter this information. And then you'll just submit this information and everything should hopefully be okay. At this point, it's time for you to add the product that you're going to sell. So to do that, you can go up to Catalog, Add Products. Now, if you're selling a product that already exists, you can search for it here and you can add your product to that listing. But that's not what I recommend. Don't sell a product that already exists. There's not a lot of margins on that. It's just not a good way to make money off Amazon, in my opinion. What I recommend doing is creating your own product, creating your own unique product. I call this a passion product. So create a product that you really believe in, something that you wish existed in the world. This is what my girlfriend did with Vino Cards here. This is what I did with Performance Nut Butter as well. Neither one of those products existed, so we created it. So if you do have a new product, you're going to go down here to create a new product listing. And you can search up here for the category or do just your research on your own. So for Vino Cards, I did a lot of research on what is the best category to sell in, but also you want to pick a category that describes your product. For Vino Cards, we picked the category of home and kitchen, and then kitchen and dining. And then from there, it is wine accessories, wine education, and games. So as you can see, it's pretty niche down. You want to get as far down as you can. And wine education and games perfectly describes Vino Cards. And one of the reasons you want to do that is you want a category where you could potentially become the #1 product, the best seller. Okay, so at this point, we have the product ID, and you're going to need to put in a UPC code. Now, to get a UPC code, the official way to do it, you can buy one online. It's going to cost you basically $250 for 10 UPC codes. That's the official way to do it, and I recommend doing that if you plan on eventually selling in stores. But there's also a cheaper, easier way to do it. You can go to eBay and you get 1,000 UPC codes for $5, and you can get a UPC code like that. So you put your UPC code in here, And then comes the product name. And this is something a lot of people get tripped up on, because not only do you want to have a product name that compels people to purchase your product, but you also want to make sure it contains keywords. And we talked about this in a previous lesson, what kind of keywords you want to add. So for instance, I know for Vino cards, people are going to be searching for things like wine flashcards, wine tasting game, wine education, wine course. So I want to take all these words and make sure that they are in my title. Now, at the same time, you want to make sure it's not just filled and stuffed with keywords. You want to make sure it's something that people would actually purchase. So what I came up with was Vino cards, wine tasting game, complete beginner guide wine course with flashcards, a bunch of other information. You can go look up Vino cards if you want to see it in full. And then finally, for the brand name, you're going to put in there whatever the name of your brand is. So for us, it's Vino cards. So next up, actually, let's talk about variations. If you have lots of different colors, lots of different, whatever it is, variations with your item, this is where you would put it in. For now, this is outside the scope of this tutorial, but it's very simple to do. I think let's see if we can look. Yeah, I mean, you would type in all the different colors and the different prices there, but I'm going to edit this, but I'm going to get rid of that for now. So let's go over to the offer. For us, the price is going to be, I think, $27.99. And then you put the seller SKU. And the seller SKU is just an internal SKU. So I could put Vino cards to test, since this is just a test product that I'm showing you right now. Condition should always be new. And then the quantity, put whatever quantity you want, whatever quantity you have. But what I recommend doing is fulfilled by Amazon. So you need to put the quantity in if you're doing fulfilled by merchant, if you're going to be shipping out the orders. But I don't recommend doing that. I recommend sending your product to Amazon, letting them fulfill it. So I want Amazon to ship and provide customer service for my items they sell. So if you click that, you don't need to put in the quantity. And we'll talk more about this later in the tutorial, how you can send in product, all the different steps. It makes life so much easier, and it's going to make it so you have more sales. The last step here is to put in the images that you want to use for your product. So the most important image is the main image, and you'll put that up at the top there. And I recommend getting a computer rendering, not taking a photo yourself. You can hire someone for about $50 to do a computer rendering. And let me show you what that looks like. So this is what it looks like. And with Vino cards, it would be very tough for us to get this kind of a photo with this, with the cards splayed out like this, with the box top like this. This was actually, it's completely a computer rendering, even though it looks real. It looks like a real photograph, and this will save you a lot of money, a lot of time. You're not gonna have to find a professional photographer. Just hire someone to do a rendering. Obviously, if you are in the Passion Product Formula course, I do have some people that I can recommend to you, but otherwise join the Facebook group and I'll share that information with you. So that's the main image, and that's the image that would show up right here. And it also would show up in the listings. I'll show you what that looks like. It'll show up right there as the main image in the listings. That's the one at the top, the main one there. But there's also these side images here, and to add those, you'd go one by one and add all the side images here. Now, as a note, you're technically not supposed to show anything in the photos that doesn't come in the box. But a lot of professional Amazon sellers do not follow that rule. So I don't think should show this photo, I believe. But for the most part, Amazon doesn't care as long as you're not doing really, over the top things. So once you're done with all that, you're going to go ahead and click Save and Finish. Now it's giving me an error because this UPC code isn't working. And the reason is because I've already created a product using this UPC code. So to finish off this product and add things like the bullet points and the description, we're going to click the Save and Finish, and then I'll take you into the next part. Once you've done that, then we can add the bullet points. We can add a lot of additional features, the back-end search keywords. So you would go into your inventory, manage inventory. It'll bring up this page and click Edit. So on the Edit, you can fill out vital information. We've already filled out most of this, the color and the color map you have to do. If you have any variations, as we talked about before, color variations or size variations, you can use here. The next thing that I'll talk about is the offer. So we have the sale price, what I put as $24.99. So it's normally $27.99. I said, let's do a sale price of $24.99. But as you can see, I said the sale basically ends in like 7 months. So that's a while away. I also put the manufacturer suggested retail price at $27.99. So people see that there is some kind of a discount. And the last two important things left. Product tax code, I'd put AGEN tax. This just means that there is sales tax on it. If your product doesn't have sales tax, you can do AGEN _ no _ tax, and that'll fix that. And the last important thing is, if you want to create this listing, but you don't want to offer it right away, you can do offering release date and put a date in the future. We launched this product on December 3rd, so that's why it's there. Compliance, if your product is hazardous or something like that, you need to fill out the compliance section. For Vino cards, it's not hazardous. Again, the image tab, you can go in here and you can add more images. So you can see all the different images I've added here. And all these images correspond to the images on the sidebar here. So people can go over. Now, some notes for adding images. It needs to be at least 1,000 by 1,000, I believe is what it is. And the reason for that is so you can zoom in. Now, they might change this number, but I recommend at least doing 1,000 by 1,000 minimum. So people can zoom in and they can look at all the detail. If it's not 1,000 by 1,000 as far as pixels, you can't zoom in, and so that's a big no-no. And also try to fill up all these images. You can see I left 2 blank, which was a mistake. I probably should have filled all these in. The next thing we're going to talk about here is the description. Now, the description, this part, product description at the top, corresponds with this down here. Now, from what I've been told, this does not get indexed. So you don't need to put a bunch of keywords in there, but hopefully you should. You should put keywords in there just because humans will still read it, and the keywords might trigger people to want to purchase it. So the description specifically is to try to get people to buy it. I use some formatting, which I've heard mixed things about whether or not you should do. So you can see I put bold for the paragraph headers and then spaces in between. And to do this, just look up some basic HTML. I have the I and the B, and the B bolds it, and then a /B to say, hey, stop the bolding part. That's a more advanced topic. Just look up some basic HTML. It's not that hard to do. Then the key product features corresponds to up here, all these features. Now, these do get indexed by search, and so you want to make sure you put in all your different keywords. And as I talked about in the previous lesson, we did talk about how to do the search for keywords, but you're going to want to make sure and make these not only human readable so people can read it, but also include the keywords. And a big tip on this is talk about the benefits of your product. Don't talk about the features. Don't say it's 3 inches by 5 inches by 4 inches. Nobody cares about that. Talk about why it's going to benefit them. So I say it's a perfect wine gift. It's an original gift idea for wine lovers. That's the benefit. Why should someone buy this? Is because it's a great wine gift. Another benefit is you can host wine nights. I don't say it contains 50 cards about wines, though I might say that in some place here. I think I say it right here. I talk about the benefits of having those 50 plus cards is that you can host wine nights. So you put that information in there. And then the next thing we'll talk about is the search terms. What do you want this to show up for when people are searching on Amazon? So let's go over to Amazon. And one of the search terms I might have is wine flashcards. So I want, when people type in wine flashcards, because that's what my product is, I want my product to show up. And right now it's ranked #1 for wine flashcards. And so I'll make sure that wine flashcards, you can see it's right here. I'll make sure wine flashcards is in my search terms. Now, I believe this is 500 characters. They might have changed it. So use up all 500 characters. Put as many search terms in here as you can. The last thing we'll talk about is the more details tab. And this is where you'll put in the weight. And I believe the launch date as well. When do you want to launch this product by? It's similar to the date we talked about earlier. When do you want this product to come out? You can change the category from here. And I believe that's the most important stuff. Oh yeah, and the package dimensions. If you are going to be sending it in to fulfill by Amazon, just measure it and say how big the package is. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's all the information to create your product. But we're not done with the tutorial yet. There's a lot of other useful information on how to sell on Amazon. So once you've launched your product, once you started to get some sales, you're going to come to your home page and you're going to see some sales. Now, Vino Cards was just launched not that long ago. That's what you can see. We only did about $2,400 in the last 30 days. And I say only, but I'm really proud. This is my girlfriend's project. I kind of taught her the passion product formula. She's doing a really good job. That for her in profit, that's an extra $1,000 a month. That's not bad for as little effort as she's put into this. Now, in later lessons, we'll talk about everything you can do to really up those sales. Obviously, with Performance Nut Butter, I'm doing a lot more in sales, and we'll talk about all the marketing stuff later. But let's talk about this whole homepage. Let's do a complete tutorial, a complete walkthrough. So first off, if you are selling fulfilled by merchant, up here, it'll say how many pending orders you have, how many unshipped orders, all the seller fulfilled data. But since we're just doing fulfilled by Amazon, the only number that shows up is in the last 7 days, 15 items have been fulfilled by Amazon. So if you are doing fulfilled by merchant, this will be full of data. Another important thing is the buyer messages here. Right now it's all at 0, but if you do have a message, you can click on it and you can respond to the message there. A to Z guarantee claims, same thing. If someone's claiming something against your product, it'll show up here, and chargeback claims, it'll show up here as well. It's very rare that people do either one of these, so I'm not going to talk too much in depth about it. If you do get sent a buyer message and you don't respond within 24 hours, it'll show up right here. They want you to try to show up. They want you to respond as soon as possible. And you can also look at your account health. Now, I don't know, this is a pretty new account, so I don't think it has too much data. But in the account health, it'll tell you the order defect rate, all the different information about your product and how you're doing selling on Amazon. If Amazon thinks that you're going to be running out of inventory soon, they will alert you right here in the middle. They'll also just pop up some other things that they think might be of interest to you. Over here, the most recent payments, we'll talk about this later. Your balance, like how much does Amazon actually owe you? How much did they pay you last month, or the last payment period? And Amazon pays, I believe, every 2 weeks or so. Depends on your account as well, but every 2 weeks is what I've always received. And so the last payment that Ariana and her account received was almost $1,000. And this is the balance for the upcoming payment. Last is the sales summary, pretty standard. In the last 7 days, 14 units were sold, 15 days, 29 units, and then 30 days, 96 units. Okay, so at this point, we've talked about the catalog, and catalog for me is mostly about adding products. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that some categories are restricted, and some categories you can't sell in unless you apply. And if you do apply, this is where you'll see your selling applications. For instance, for Performance Nut Butter, I had to send them in documentation showing them that I've actually purchased food, because the grocery category is gated. There's a few different categories that are gated. For the clothing, Be Dancer, my dance clothing company, that was also a gated category. I had to prove to them that we were the manufacturer of the clothes. It's not that hard to do. I'll talk about this in another lesson as well. Basically, you just have to send them invoices proving that you're a legitimate company, proving that you aren't selling counterfeit goods. So it's not that big of a problem. The next tab, and we're going to go over all these tabs here. The next tab is the inventory tab. And there's a few different important things to do here. One is managing your inventory. So if you click on here, you can see this is the only inventory we currently have. This is where we went. We can edit it. We can change the price. We can do a lot of different things. If you have lots of inventory, this might be even more useful. Manage FBA inventory. You can check and see, how much inventory do I have in FBA? Oh, I have 312 of these. So that means that Amazon has 312 units of Vino cards. I can also do inventory planning. And since this is a pretty new account, there's insufficient historical data to calculate, how much I need to send to them. But generally speaking, it'll tell you when you need to restock, how long your items have been or should be in inventory. It'll tell you a lot of data for basically planning when you should send shipments, making sure you don't have more inventory than you need. This is a more advanced topic. I'm not going to dive in too deep here because you don't need to know it right from the beginning, and you won't need to know anything about it for a few months until you get some data. Let's go to add a product. Obviously, we already talked about that. You can also add a product via uploads. This is another advanced topic. If you have lots of SKUs, you can do this. And so for my dance clothing company, we upload products in a giant Excel spreadsheet with about 3,000 different rows. So this is something I don't think I need to talk about because most of the people listening to this only have one or two or a few SKUs. But if you do, then you're going to want to add products via upload. It's much easier to manage lots of different SKUs. Inventory reports is something I don't do too often, but you can look into this, and this is another advanced thing that we're not going to talk about right now. Selling globally, if you want to sell to international markets, you can look here. For Vino cards, we're not doing that yet, but eventually we may. And the last thing on the inventory tab we'll talk about is manage the FBA shipments. So when you do go to ship something into Amazon, you'll see here that it's in the FBA shipment. So basically, and I told you I'd walk you through this a little bit, and I might go into more detail in another one. The way you're going to do, if you want to send in a shipment, you're going to go to Manage FBA Inventory. Then you'll go to Send Replenish Inventory. Then tell Amazon, are you shipping a lot of individual products in the same box? So a lot of different SKUs in the same box, or are you sending the same SKU in a box? So since we only have one SKU, basically when we send a box to Amazon, it's all going to be Vino cards. So most of you are probably going to pick case packed product. Go ahead and click Continue to Shipping Plan. Tell them how many units per case. So for us, it's 16. And let's say we were going to send one case. That's it. We'll click Continue. If we're going to send more, obviously we would change that number. So I'll just show you really quick. If you were going to send, 20 cases, for instance, you do 20. Very, very simple. And then as far as who preps, I usually do the merchant. And this is basically putting on the FN SKU, the label letting Amazon know. And we'll talk about what this is in just a second here. The FN SKU is this label right here. You use print labels for this product. It'll give you a little barcode, and you need to put this on your product. And you need to make sure there's no other barcodes on your product except for this barcode. So basically you take that sticker and you put it on your product. Okay. And that's pretty simple to do. And like I said, who labels it? I usually say merchant labels it because I just want to put the stickers on myself. Amazon charges too much, but maybe it's worth it to you. Go ahead and click Continue. And from here, it'll tell you where to ship them to. Moreno Valley, California. That's pretty typical for me because I'm in LA, but it might be different for you depending on where you live. And then from here, you're going to work on the shipment. Now you can pick, do you want to send via UPS or FedEx? And it depends on the rate. You can calculate that. I'll show you how to do that in a second. The other thing is if you're sending a pallet, you're going to want to pick less than truckload. And I just recommend doing the Amazon partnered carrier. Pallets are a little bit more of an advanced topic. It's not that hard. It's actually very simple, but I'll save that for another lesson in the future if that's something you're interested in. So we'll go here, multiple boxes, use the web form, all this information. You're going to fill in down below here, number of boxes. Okay, units per box configuration, 16, and then 20. And then box weight per pound. So then you'll just weigh the box. So the box of 16, how much does it weigh? Let's just say 25. I'm just going to make this up. And let's say the dimensions are 16 by 16 by 16. Just totally making this up right now, obviously. Confirm. Then you're going to calculate the costs here. You can see it's $100, which isn't bad. And if you want, you can agree and accept charges. And from there, they'll give you labels to print out and you'll put it on your product. Now, I'm not sending in this inventory, so I'm gonna back out of this. Manage FBA shipments. The next tab we'll talk about is the pricing. And I don't actually mess with this too often because I don't need to change my pricing that often. But if you do need to change your pricing often and you want to set up rules for changing your pricing, you can go to automate pricing and it'll change it. This comes in handy for people that are selling items that other people are selling because then they can try to lower their price lower than whoever their competitor is. But for you, if you're selling your own passion product, you don't need to deal with this stuff in my opinion. Orders, manage orders. You can go here if you're just interested. I don't go here that often. This isn't important. The manage orders is important if you're doing fulfilled by merchant because you'll use that to send. You can also use it to refund orders if someone complains, something like that. You can do order reports, manage returns. A lot of this stuff I don't really do because Amazon takes care of this. So this is very important if you're doing fulfilled by merchant. Now, next up is maybe my favorite tab, one of the more interesting ones, and that's advertising. So let's take a look here. And one of the main things I use this for is the campaign manager. So campaign manager allows you to bid on certain search terms, certain keywords. So I could bid on wine flashcards or wine education and get up here at the top. So let's show you an example. This, for instance, Wine Folly is sponsored right here. It's a sponsored, they're basically using the campaign manager, and they bid on the word wine education. And that's why you can see it says sponsored right there. So if you want to show up at the top, then you would go here to campaign manager. And I do have the future lesson. We'll talk about this specifically all the way through and how to do it. But campaign manager is a great way if you want to appear on the search. And there's some other tools that campaign manager has. It also has this kind of advertisement. This is another advertisement, but it's a different type of ad, a different type of campaign you can run. Some other things you can do is enhance brand content. Now, VinoCards, so if you want to get enhanced brand content and you want to get brand registered, you need to apply for a trademark. VinoCards does not yet have a trademark. Performance Nut Butter does, so I'll show you that one. And the enhanced brand content is this stuff down here. Now, I'll talk about this as well in a future lesson because this is a little bit more of an advanced topic. So this is a lot better than the typical description, because most product descriptions are pretty boring. This allows for some images. So that is up here under enhanced brand content. The early reviewer program, if you want to get some reviews to your product and you have less than 5 reviews, this is a great option. So it helps get you your first 5 reviews. Now there's some charges and stuff like that, but if you don't have any reviews and you need an easy way to do it, you can use that. Or if you're following the Passion Product Formula, you don't need to worry about that because your product launch group is going to take care of that. So for anyone watching that's not part of the Passion Product Formula, the product launch group, I have other videos on that, is very helpful for getting early reviews. So I've never used the early reviewer program. Lightning Deals allows you to heavily discount your product, and it'll show up on basically the homepage of Amazon, the Amazon deals thing. So if you have a lot of inventory you need to move quickly, that's a good way to do it. Coupons are also only for, it's only for sellers that have a feedback rating of 3.5 or higher. So this is another advanced topic. If you want to learn more about this, I'll do another lesson later in this course about that. And then the last thing we'll talk about is promotions. And promotions are helpful. It's just what it sounds like. You can give people free shipping. You can get people a percentage off, a buy one, get one free, giveaway. As always, I'll do a separate lesson about how step-by-step to set these up, but it's very simple, very intuitive. You don't even need a lesson, in my opinion. You can pretty much do this on your own. Okay, so next up is the storefront, and this is also only something that is for people that are Amazon brand registered. So this is not a beginning tactic, but it's something that's helpful if you do want to create your own Amazon store. Honestly, I've never even done this. I probably should do it, but it's not something that I think is mission critical. So reports are the next thing, and we could spend hours on all the different reports, but I just want to make you aware of some of the different ones. So one of the ones I'll check often is business reports. And business reports, it has a lot of different things that you can do here, but one thing you can do is you can change the date up here, and you can see sales data. So let's take a look. You can see this is right about when we launched. We had a record sales day on the 5th. You can see sales kind of died off since the new year, since after Christmas. And that's okay. We still have a lot of marketing to do for VinoCards. You can see the total. We've done about $3,600 worth of sales, which I'm pretty happy with. That's not bad at all. And then there's a lot of different things you can dive in here. You can do detail page by child item. And so, for instance, for Performance Nut Butter, we have on one product page, we have 2 different items. I have the jar. Let's see. I can show you up here. I have the box of squeeze packs and the 8-ounce jar. Now, these are 2 different child items. So it shows up in, let's exit out of this. It shows up in here as 2 different items. Now, on the sales dashboard, it would only show as the total number of sales. But if I wanted to know specifically what got more sales, the jars or the pouches, I could come to the child item. If you have lots of SKUs, the detail page sales and traffic by parent item can be helpful. So with B Dancewear, we use this tab, and I can talk more about all these reports and everything. If this is something you want to learn more about, definitely let me know. You can look at fulfillment reports. You can get a report and download where has everybody purchased your stuff from, like where has Amazon fulfilled it to. So if you wanted to, you can go to all orders, for instance, and request a download, and it'll tell you where Amazon has fulfilled your orders to. Reports could be a 5-hour long tutorial. I just want to make you aware that pretty much anything you want to know about how your product is doing is probably under reports. Performance, we've already talked about a little bit. You can look at feedback, for instance. And so far, VinoCards has no seller feedback, so that's something I got to get on. Account health is another thing that we already talked about. Once again, VinoCards also doesn't have a lot of data with account health. And last up is any performance notifications. If you've got any issues going on, it'll be under performance notification. And so far, this is all standard stuff. Nothing that big of a deal. Now, I know this is a lot of information, but I created a checklist to make it easy. You can get that for free up here or down below. It's in my Amazon Success Pack. And the Amazon Success Pack not only includes the checklist, it includes marketing ideas. It includes ways for you to come up with product ideas. I know a lot of people struggle with how do I come up with a really unique passion product. So you can get that up here and down below. And if you want to find out more information about the passion product formula, my course to how to create your own unique passion product and sell it on Amazon, you can also click the link up here or down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be coming out with a lot more Amazon FBA related information, so click that subscribe button.